Yeah, sometimes people talk about feeling let down after Easter, particularly in the church. You've had this great big emphasis and celebration on Easter, and all these people come to the church that don't usually come, and then the next Sunday it's kind of seems like a letdown. They call that Low Sunday. Some people in the church parlance that and wonder, well, where were all these people that came at Easter but don't come to this? Well, you know, circumstances being what they are right now during this pandemic, we're not going to experience any kind of drop off or anything. But I think it's kind of the wrong way to think about it as being unexciting and kind of a letdown. I find this a very exciting period of the church and the church year that you think of as Easter tide. It's not just Easter a day, it's a whole season of Easter, because the way that I like to think of it and celebrate it, and I kind of depart from the lectionary a little bit during this time, is that this is the time between the time when Jesus appeared to the disciples or appeared to Mary and she went and told them, I have seen the Lord, in the empty tomb. And then we have all of these appearances of Jesus to the disciples before the ascension in that 40-day period. And then later we have Pentecost. And so during this time, up until Ascension Sunday and before Pentecost, which is the next Sunday, I like to talk about these post-resurrection appearances of Jesus. I just find that very interesting and exciting and uplifting, and that's a good season, I think. And so this coming Sunday we're going to be talking about Emmaus. And you know the story probably, it comes from Luke, that a couple people, Cleopas and another person, are walking toward the little village of Emmaus, and someone comes and walks with them. They do not recognize this person, but they start talking about all that's happened in Jerusalem, and the person walking with them tells them, well, this was supposed to happen. The Jewish scriptures, our scriptures, predicted all of this. The prophets talked about it. All of this was supposed to happen. And then they invite him in to eat when they get to their destination, and he gives thanks and breaks the bread, and it's in the breaking of the bread that they recognize that it is Jesus among them. And there are a lot of places in the Holy Land today that you can go to and you can walk that I think would really be fascinating and fun. You could walk from Nazareth to Bethlehem. You can walk along the Sea of Galilee. You can walk in Capernaum, where Jesus, on the north shore of the Sea of Galilee, that Jesus kind of made his hometown, and you can go there and see the sights, and you can walk in those footsteps of the route that Jesus would have taken. Well, the problem with trying to do this walk to Emmaus is that there's not real certainty about where Emmaus was. Now Luke tells us, he says this, now on that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. Well, that seems like it would be easy enough to figure out, but over the years there have been a number of places that have people have thought, well, this must be Emmaus. We're not sure exactly which one it is. There are a lot of biblical sites that we know today. We know where Jericho is, and we know where Bethlehem is. We know where Jerusalem is. But Emmaus was a little small village, and it was 2,000 years ago. And things are such that sometimes little small villages just kind of disappear from the map. Certainly in that part of the world, that's not all that unusual. There's a site in that area where people think they're one of the possibilities of Emmaus, and there's a Stone Age village there. Stone Age, actually, it was a city that had, they think, 2,000 to 3,000 people, and they found it through archaeological digs, and it's just gone. So imagine a city that size disappearing over time. Well, the city of Emmaus, nobody is really sure where it is. There are a number of candidates. One of the places that I think is probably a good possibility is a little place called Moza. And it's along the highway between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And Emmaus means warm spring or spring, and a lot of folks think that Some of the other sites could be excluded because, there's not water or springs. The Moza has some springs, and it's a place where the Jewish people used to go and gather some willows there by the water for their festival of booths, the festival that celebrates their how they stayed in tents in the wilderness. But anyway, one of the things that I found in 1929 in this little village. Now, again, one of the issues with Moza, which I think is a strong candidate for being Emmaus, but one of the issues is it's only about 3.5 miles from Jerusalem, and Luke clearly says 7. One of the things that people look at and say, well, this could be it, is maybe what Luke meant was it's 7 miles round trip, because as we know, the disciples, the Cleopas and his friend, walked out there, and when Jesus made himself known to them in the breaking of the bread, they came all the way back to Jerusalem. So maybe that trip was 7 miles. So Moza would fit from the standpoint of distance. Some of the other projected sites are probably a little too far out for that trip back and forth that day. So anyway, I think it fits well, and it's probably the more favored site among many scholars today. But anyway, I was reading about Moza, and one of the things that I found that in 1929, now think about this as we talk about how a village might disappear. In 1929, there were good relationships between the people, the Jews who lived in Moza, and their Arab neighbors, their Palestinian neighbors. Well, there was a riot in 1929 among some of those Palestinians who lived there, and there were a number of people who were Jewish who were killed in the area. And the refugees from Moza, they sent a letter to the Refugee Aid Committee in Jerusalem talking about how dire things were. This is what they said. They were asking for help. They said, our houses were burned and robbed. We have nothing left. And now we are naked and without food. We need your immediate assistance and ask for nothing more than bread to eat and clothes to wear. I thought, how much that is like the world today. I hear echoes of Matthew 25 in that. I was hungry and you didn't feed me. I was naked and you didn't clothe me. This appeal from these folks that may have been in that very village of Emmaus, where Jesus first broke bread after his resurrection, the very first place where you have the celebration of the Last Supper after the resurrection. The very first place in the history of the world where that happened. And what's interesting to me as well is that well could have become something that was lost to history, to time. We would not even have known about it had not those 2 disciples who were there run back to Jerusalem and told the others that we have seen the Lord. It says that they went behind closed doors. They found there 11, and the companions gathered together, and they were saying, the Lord has risen. He has appeared to Simon. That's what the disciples were saying. And then these 2 who had come running in from the road said, then they told what had happened on the road and how he had been made known to them in the breaking of the bread. And that's our challenge as well, to know that no matter what's going on in our lives, whatever road that we're on, that Jesus is with us, even if we don't always recognize him, even if we don't always know that he's there. And then to tell people about Jesus, to make known to others that he is with us, that he makes himself known to us in the breaking of the bread, in the coming together in fellowship, in the good works that we do, in the Holy Spirit that moves among where 2 or more are gathered in his name. And so I invite you to continue to join us for our online music and online worship services, and to spread that as well. Share it with your Facebook friends. Tell people about it on YouTube. Get other people to participate in that. Be like these 2 disciples who were with Jesus in Emmaus and make known to others what Jesus has done, what Jesus has made known to us. I hope to see you soon. Stay safe during all of this. We are so far so good. I don't know of anyone from the church who is sick, and we want to keep it that way. We want to be back together when it's safe to do so, and God will be with you on the road wherever you are, and God is with us even now. God bless you.